Why are young men and women drifting to the extremes? Why does it feel like everyone's either screaming at the left or screaming at the right? And why does it feel personal, almost like it's about who you are instead of what you believe? Young women tend to vote left not just because of policies, but because of how they morally perceive the world. When you can't dominate the world, you survive by making compassion, protection, and fairness the highest good. Women on average are more sensitive to this type of moral lens. So policies that emphasize social justice, protecting minorities, helping the weak, and fighting inequality resonate deeply. Other practical reasons are, of course, that left-leaning policies favor women through healthcare, reproductive rights, workplace protection, and social support systems. These are tangible benefits, but the emotional and moral framing of these policies make them feel morally necessary. On the other hand, young men on average tend to vote right because they're more attuned to hierarchy, stability, and continuity. It frames society as something that needs to be maintained, not endlessly re-engineered. The right emphasizes order, structure, tradition, national identity, things that appeal to men psychologically and socially. Men often prioritize personal responsibility and self-sufficiency, which aligns with right-wing economics and social principles. Another major factor is cultural pushback. Progressive narratives often frame masculinity as a problem to be managed. The right, by contrast, allows ambition, dominance, and strength to exist without, instant moral suspicion. That alone pulls a lot of men over. Social media isn't just a place for information, it's a reinforcement machine. Algorithms notice what triggers your emotions and double down. If you react to a post that makes you angry, you'll naturally see more posts that make you angry. If you share a post that makes you feel morally righteous, the platform feeds you similar content. Over time, your worldview not only becomes skewed, it becomes extreme. This creates communities where everyone agrees with each other and disagreement becomes invisible. You stop encountering moderates. Social media feeds emotion and repetition, amplifying your initial leanings until moderation disappears. Extreme voices become normal because the algorithm reinforces them. Politics has become more than just policy, it's identity. I'm a liberal or I'm conservative now signals who you are, not just what you support. Disagreement becomes a personal attack. If someone disagrees with you, it feels like they're attacking you personally, not just your policy preferences. This triggers defensive emotional reactions that make compromise almost impossible. Social media compounds it. Your political stance becomes a badge, a filter for friendship, dating, and social approval. People naturally interpret issues through their own moral lens. Women leaning left often prioritize protection and empathy. Men leaning right often prioritize stability and continuity. This leads to the perception of the other side as being actively harmful, even if the intention is good. Let's take, for example, abortion. Pro-choice wants to protect the women. On the other hand, pro-life just wants to protect the unborn life. Both are motivated by care. They're just focused on different vulnerable groups. Same with immigration. Left sees the refugee as a person in need. The right emphasizes protecting citizens and national stability. Both feel morally justified in their fight. Once you see your moral lens as absolute, it's psychologically hard to argue with. You literally feel like you're defending what's right, and anything contrary feels immoral. Humans have a bias toward thinking, I am right, they are wrong. The more morally certain you are, the less likely you are to question your assumptions. Because political positions now are tied to identity and morality, this certainty feels like survival. If you accept the other side's argument, you're not just wrong, you're complicit in harm. Each side views the other as wrong or even evil, and sometimes it makes sense from your perspective. If you see someone supporting what you define as bad, it feels morally imperative to oppose them. Media and political discourse can exaggerate the other side's intentions. This creates a narrative where the other side is not just different, but evil. Left portrays the right as hateful and regressive. The right portrays the left as degenerate and destructive. Simplifying the narrative makes it easier to mobilize emotionally. Your brain doesn't have to navigate nuance. It just reacts. They are the problem. And so, polarization skyrockets, and it's amplified because each side believes the other is morally wrong. Over the last few decades, the policy preferences between right and left have diverged drastically. Economic redistribution, social justice, immigration, and law enforcement are no longer minor debates. They are core identity markers. When the differences aren't minor, compromise feels like betrayal. Both sides increasingly see compromise as weakness or moral failure. Social and cultural trends amplify this. Universities, workplaces, media outlets, and social circles are increasingly segmented through ideological lines. This reinforces the idea that your political choice isn't just a preference. It's a reflection of your values, morality, and even intelligence. You probably can't fix the polarization entirely. Humans naturally cluster around moral lenses and identity, but you can improve the situation. Start by recognizing that the other side is not inherently evil, just motivated differently. They might value protection, compassion, and continuity just like you, but for something you don't prioritize. Engage in conversations with the goal of understanding instead of convincing. Extremes are driven by identity and emotion. If you diffuse the personal element, dialogue becomes possible. Limit your own echo chambers. Seek viewpoints outside your bubble and critically analyze your moral biases. You know, it's kind of funny. In the end, we all get screwed over the same, but we spend all our time fighting each other. The political war isn't just about policies. It's about moral perspectives. The only way to survive it without hating half the world is to see the humanity in those who you disagree with, even when it's hard. Fuck this shit.